Welcome back, math party people. Let's go ahead and get into round 3 of solving multi-step equations. So in this part of solving multi-step equations, we're looking at problems that have parentheses involved. And so remember, when it comes to parentheses, the distributive property is really what we're going to be focused on using to make sure we kind of clean things up. So the first 2 videos for multi-step we saw were basically simplifying first. And then in the second one, we had variables on both sides. So now we're going to be doing problems where we have a distribution required. And in the following video, you're going to see where we have distribution and variables on both sides and getting crazier and crazier. Now, we're not going to go too crazy because the test that you're going to be taking likely won't include those types of problems. But reasonably, you can expect things like this. So let's go ahead and understand how to get this done. It's actually not too terrible, especially if you've done the work that you need to do in those previous worksheets and videos. So here we go. We have 7 plus 2 times parentheses 1 minus 7n equals 107. So here's how we want to handle this, my party people. Let me just rewrite this over here so I have all the space to work with. 1 minus 7n equals 107. Okay, so here's the thing. What we may have learned at this point, and if we haven't, no worries, I got you. But what we may and should have learned at this point is the idea of the distributive property. Distributive property pretty much just means, hey, when you have a number outside of a parentheses, basically make sure that everything outside of the parentheses multiplies with everything on the inside of the parentheses. So long story short, when we take a look at this 2 right here, we need to make sure that that 2 multiplies with this 1 right here and multiplies with that negative 7n. That's the only way that we'll be able to break down that parentheses and then see the problem for what it is and solve it. So here we go. So we have the 7 still staying there. And then we have right here, 2 times 1. That's going to be hardest problem of the day, right? That's going to be 2. And then up next, we have ourselves with the 2 right here multiplied by the negative 7n. And so 2 multiplied by negative 7n, basically 2 times negative 7 is negative 14, and then include the n right there. And so then from here, we rewrite everything else, and we keep solving as normal. Because you see now, this is just like what we've been doing in the previous videos. So all we've learned, and all we're going to learn here, is just adding that next step of protection for you in terms of recognizing certain situations and knowing what to do. So from there, what we're going to have to do here is basically combine any like terms, which we can identify as 7 and the 2. Because again, they're on the same side of the equal sign. And so with that 7 plus 2, that's going to give us 9 minus 14n equals 107. And so from here, my party people, we're going to go ahead and solve this as normal like we have been doing up to this point. Here we have that 9 that we can move over to get the 14n by itself, and then we'll do our division as we normally do. So here, subtract 9 on both sides. Right there, that's going to cancel on the left side, giving us negative 14n equals 107 minus 9, which would give us 98. All right, sweet. So we have negative 14n equals 98. And so what we have to do now on both sides is going to be divide by the negative 14. Right over here and over there. So notice the numbers look bigger. Okay, cool, whatever. Not that big of a deal. We just need to make sure we are taking the appropriate steps and then checking our work if we need to. So over here, 98 divided by negative 14. Well, that's going to give us a negative result. And then we just have to think about what 14 divided by 98 is. So if you didn't know, what you can definitely do is this, my party people. You can go ahead and actually, instead of just dividing by 14 altogether, you can divide by 7 and then divide by 2. Or divide by 2, then divide by 7, either way. The reason I'm showing you that little mental math trick is because 1, I have gone over it already. You should have had the chance to see that video. But 2, I want to make sure you know how to handle these situations so you don't have to guess and check. Because remember, 14 is 2 times 7. So if you're dividing by 14, just divide by 2, then divide by 7. 98 divided by 2 is the same thing as 49 divided by 7. And what's 49 divided by 7? 7. And so it's going to be negative 7. Booyah, right there. And so n equals negative 7, and there it is. And so in this video, I'm going to go ahead and go over plenty of practice problems here. That way we can really truly get this going. Hey, before we get to crushing this problem, just wanted to remind you about my ASVAB All-Access Program. So if you have test anxiety, if you blank out on word problems, if you're frustrated and can't keep a solid study schedule, then this program is there to support you. Long story short, you're going to be able to text me whenever you need help. You get all of the classes and the recording so you can work around your schedule whenever you need to. On top of that, you're going to get access to over 2,000 practice problems that let you learn from every mistake by watching video solutions to those math questions. Not like a textbook where you have to figure it out on your own. On top of that, there are way more features like practice tests, study guides, flashcard sets, all that good stuff. So go ahead, either text me or check out the link either somewhere here in this video or in the description. That way you can keep raising your score and get the job you want, because that's what you're here for at the end of the day. Again, I'm Coach Anderson. Check out the All Access program and sign up, and then keep going watching this video so you can keep crushing it. I'll see you there. So over here, let's check it out. 42. We have 91 equals 7 multiplied by n plus 5. So if we want to get rid of that parentheses, we can go ahead and distribute that 7. We can distribute the 7. And I'm going to show you two ways to get this problem done. I'm going to show you two different ways, so stay tuned here. So here, we can distribute the 7, and that's going to give us 91 equals 7 times n, which is 7n. And then we have 7 times 5, which is 35. Okay. And so then from here, what we can do is solve this as normal now. This is a nice little two-step equation here where we'll go ahead and subtract 35 on both sides right there. And then from here, what we have going on is that's going to be canceling out on the right side. And so we have 91 minus 35. If you want to, you can subtract 30, then subtract 5 for some mental math there. So that'll be 61, then goes down to 56. And so we have 56 equals 7n. And the last step that we'll take is divide both sides by that 7. And then we have that cancellation right there. And so we'll have n equals 8. And there's a. So that was one way to do it. Okay, that was one way to do it. Let me show you another way to do it, especially when you have the distribution happening there. Here's what we can do, my party people. What we can do as well is this. Let me rewrite the problem. 91 equals 7 parentheses n plus 5. Okay, so here's what we can do, everybody. Check out that 7. Notice what's happening with that 7. And notice that we have a parentheses. So another way that you can think about this is like this. The only thing that you have on the right side is this. A parentheses, so basically a group, so the entirety of n plus 5. And then you have 7 being multiplied by that entire parentheses. So what can I do? Well, what I can do is I observe that, remember, solving equations is the art of working backwards. So if it's 7 multiplied by that entire thing, if I wanted to get rid of that 7, I could divide both sides by 7. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I can divide both sides by 7 because that'll cancel out my 7. And then you have to think about what 91 divided by 7 is. Well, if you use a little bit of mental math, you can see that 91 is basically 70 plus 21. 91, think about it, 91 is 70 and 21, right? 70 divided by 7 is 10. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 10 and 3 makes 13. So if you wanted to think about it that way, you absolutely could. And now you're just left with n plus 5. And look at that, my party people. Now all I have to do is subtract 5 on both sides. And we get n equals 8. Same answer as above, and we're good. So again, that was just a nice little detour, just showing you that if you have a parentheses and only a parentheses on one side, you can just divide both sides by whatever's in front of it if you wanted to. But let's go ahead and keep the practice going here. I'm going to do just a few more, maybe 3, 4 more problems here to really show you the ropes. So we have over here 8 multiplied by parentheses, r minus 3, close that parentheses, plus 1 equals negative 87. So in this example here, I can't just divide both sides by 8 because we have that plus 1 right there on the same side. So in this case, we can't do that. Earlier, when we just had the 7 and then the parentheses and that's it, yeah, we could have. But here, it looks like we're going to have to go ahead. If we wanted to, we can go ahead and distribute this and then combine any like terms and do our thing. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead here again. Distribute that 8 to the r to make 8r, but don't forget distribute it to everything inside the parentheses. Biggest mistake that a lot of people make is that they'll only do the first number and then they forget about the rest. So here we have 8 times negative 3, and that's negative 24. So then it's going to be plus 1 equals negative 87. So up next, I see that we have some like terms that we can combine, negative 24 and a positive 1. Well, that's going to give me negative 23. So 8r minus 23 equals negative 87. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add 23 to both sides. Because at this point, I think we recognize this, right? We've been solving equations like this for a while now, and this should feel pretty good. And so we add 23 to both sides. Booyah, that's gone. And we have 8r equals what? Well, we have a negative plus a positive, so we'll subtract the numbers, and again, keep the sign of the bigger number. So negative 87, so 87 minus 23, that's going to be 64. But that's going to be a negative 64 because, again, the 87 was the bigger number. And so my last step here, my party people, is this. We'll go ahead now and divide both sides by 8, and we are set. So negative 64 divided by 8, that's going to be negative 8. And there's our answer right there, negative 8. So let's keep it going here. We got more to do. We got more to do, more to have fun with. I want you to go ahead at some points, pause the video, and give it a shot yourself here, okay? So we have 7, parentheses, r minus 6, close that parentheses, equals negative 91. So what we're going to do here, my party people, is this. We're going to distribute that 7 to the r and to the negative 6. 7 times r is 7r. 7 times negative 6, well, that's going to be 42, but negative. So from here, my party people, here's what we got. We're going to go ahead now and treat this like a two-step equation, and we're set. So I'll add 42 to both sides right over here. That's going to cancel out on the left, leaving me with 7r equals what? Well, negative 91 plus 42 is what? Well, remember, we have a negative plus a positive, so we're just going to subtract the numbers and then keep the sign of the bigger number. In this case, it's going to be negative because that 91 is absolutely bigger than 42. So 91 minus 42, I'll just subtract 40, then subtract 2. So that'll be 51, then 49. So we'll keep it a negative 49 because, again, we have a bigger negative than the positive. So last step, we'll just work backwards. We have 7 times r, so we'll divide both sides by 7, giving us r equals negative 7. So at this point, again, you notice that I am going a little faster when it comes to solving these equations because I'm expecting you to have this down. Not the distribution part, but solving 2 steps down. Because that was a few videos ago. So remember, if you're in the course or in the program, I do expect you to go through those worksheets, go through those speed drills. Make sure that you're confident and cool and collected when it comes to being timed and under pressure. That way we can move to the next phase and understand that we're just building off of what we learned. So here we go, my party people. Let's take a look at number 45 over here. Down here, right there. So let's take a look at number 45. Look, let's be honest. If you want to go ahead and lower test anxiety, if you want to stop blanking out on word problems, and actually understand how to use formulas instead of just memorizing them and not knowing what to do, then you need a program that's going to support you all the way. So a program that basically lets you text your coach whenever you need them, a program that allows you to go to classes and watch all the recordings, a program that gives you access to thousands of extra practice problems with video solutions, a program that gives you much, much more than that with practice tests, study guides, and more. That's exactly what you're going to need. Again, I'm Coach Anderson. Reach out to me, shoot me a text, or click the link in the video here. So go ahead and learn about my ASVAB All-Access Program. It's everything my students use to raise their scores to get the jobs they want. So feel free to check it out so that way you can get in on the action too. I'll see you in there. So with number 45, what we got going on here is we have ourselves negative 161 equals 7 times 1 plus 4x. So what I'll go ahead and do here is I will distribute that 7 into both of the terms inside the parentheses. Another way that we could do this is, notice, if we wanted to get rid of that 7 altogether, we could just divide both sides by 7. We could. We absolutely could. You would just have to know what 161 divided by 7 is off the top of your head, which you might be able to figure out. So with that said, let's distribute here. So that's going to give us negative 161 equals 7 times 1, which is going to be 7. and then 7 times 4x, that's going to give us 28x. All right, what do we do from here, my party people? Well, from here, we're going to go ahead and subtract 7 on both sides, because right there, we're trying to get that 28x by itself so we can get the x by itself. So from here, booyah, that cancels. Negative 61 minus 7. So a negative being subtracted, more negative. So that's going to be 168, but it remains negative. And that equals 28x. And so from here, we'll divide both sides by 28 and call it a day. And so again, if you're looking at this and you're saying, man, what's 168 divided by 28? I have no idea what that is. Hey, fair statement, fair question. So what you can do here is this. You can go ahead and understand that 28 is the same thing as 2 times 14. Or you could say 4 times 7. Either way is going to work. Either way is going to work. And so by understanding the factors of what you're dividing by, you can split your division up into 2 easier division problems. So for example, I could go ahead and divide the top and the bottom here. I could divide the top and the bottom by 2. I can divide the top and the bottom by 2, and remember that's going to cancel out here. So we have x equals, that's going to be a negative number. 168 divided by 2, that would be 84. So I got myself 84 divided by, and that's going to be 14. If I wanted to, I could divide the top and the bottom by 2 again. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to do it all at once, my party people. And so here what you'll get is negative 42 divided by 7. And from there, we know what 42 divided by 7 is. That is 6. So the answer will be negative 6. And that is D right there. And so again, my party people, we have to make sure that we can employ this confidence here and really raise that confidence by understanding the little things and the reasons why these steps make sense. Because if you take a look at 46, we're going to take care of this last one here, and we are calling it a day, and then we'll move on into part 4. So here we have it, my party people. First things first, you could divide both sides by 6 if you wanted to. But instead I'm going to distribute. I'm going to show you how it works when we go ahead and distribute. So we have negative 162 equals, and we have 6 times 8. Well, 6 times 8, that's going to be 48x. And then 6 times negative 3, that'll give us negative 18. All right, now from here we're going to solve this like a regular old equation. Let's get it going. So I have a negative 18 that I got to get rid of. So what I'll do is I'll add 18 to both sides. By doing that, that's going to cancel out on the right side. And now we got ourselves a little predicament here. We got negative 162 plus 18. Well, what I can do here is I can go ahead and say, well, again, a negative plus a positive, we're just taking the difference, and then we'll keep the sign of the bigger number. So in this case, I'll just do 162 minus 18. So I can go ahead and subtract 20, then add 2 back. So that'll end up being 144. Yep, that's 144. So that'll be negative 144. Again, I'm telling you, work on your mental math. It's going to save you. Because you don't want to be doing a problem like this, knowing how to do it, but then you take forever actually doing the math. So here, we're going to go ahead and now divide both sides by 48, and we are good. So that's going to cancel out on the right side, and we got ourselves x equals what? A negative divided by a positive is going to be a negative. And then 144 divided by 48. Well, isn't 144 12 times 12? Yeah, it is. And so if I'm looking at the 48, is there a 12 in there? Yeah, that's 12 times 4. So what I'm going to do, give myself an easier time, divide the top and the bottom by 12. 144 divided by 12, that's going to give me 12. 48 divided by 12 is 4. Oh, 12 over 4 is what it reduces to. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So x equals negative 3. Booyah. And that's why A is the answer. Just like that. So remember, my party people, there are ways to do it that really everybody can do. And then there are ways to do it to make sure that you get it done in the fastest way possible. So I just want to make sure you know about those ways, my party people. And so what I want you to do now is to continue practicing. You've got plenty of practice here, my party people, and I fully expect you to take advantage of this That way you can build that confidence, raise that score, and pass that test. So with that said, I am Coach Anderson, your math man Duran over here. Let's get excited. Let's keep moving forward into the next video, part 4. And then from there, keep looking forward to those worksheets, practice, and everything else. I'll see you there.